Obviously, with Season of the Deep, we've had the opportunity to make some pretty cool arc builds with the seasonal artifact perks. Obviously, on the Hunter, we have Assassin's Cowl, Liar's Handshake, Star Eater Scales. But with this video, I wanted to take an older exotic that hasn't really seen the limelight as of recently, which is the Shinobu's Vow exotic gauntlets. Let's just dive right into it. So this is what they look like. It actually comes with a Cabal themed ornament, but the main thing is the perk. New tricks, improved skip grenade. You gain an additional skip grenade charge. Skip grenade returns energy when it damages enemies. All in all, just a plain bonus to the skip grenades, giving us 2 of them. The drones actually track more aggressively, can actually hit targets multiple times, giving us even more energy back. Essentially, this is the grenade specific exotic for the Hunter. And like I said, we do want to take advantage of certain seasonal artifact perks, so let's go over what I'm using. First up, I would recommend authorized mods Arc and Melee, pretty much reducing the armor energy cost for those respective mods. We are going to be using Arc weapons, so this one's going to help us. And then certain Melee mods or Melee-centric mods are actually going to be reduced to the energy cost of 1, so that means we can put on other mods that cost more. Next up, I would recommend Thunderous Retort. Grant bonus arc super damage if cast while critically wounded or while amplified, which we're going to be amplified a lot. Lasts until the end of the super activation. Next up, Electric Armor. You gain damage resistance when amplified. Again, if we're going to be amplified all the time, we might as well be able to protect ourselves a little more. Next up, Shock and Awe. Arc final blows while you are amplified summon a burst of lightning that damages and jolts targets. So this can be from abilities or weapons. So it can proc on either of those. So if you're using arc weapons, for example, Shock and Awe can proc just lightning strike down. Pretty fun. And then lastly, lightning strikes twice. After throwing an arc grenade, gain increased grenade recharge for a short time. Arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit. Now under our Arc Strider subclass, first up for the super, I'm personally going with Gathering Storm. It's a good one-off super. That initial hit will do more damage. It's good for boss DPS in general, but if you did want to go Arc Staff for just the ad clear and the full bonus from Thunderous Retort on the artifact, you can totally do so, but I think more people are going to opt for Gathering Storm. For our abilities, I'm going with Gambler's Dodge. When I dodge near a target, I get my melee back, which actually coincides with Combination Blow. So it's a quick strike that temporarily increases your melee damage when defeating a target, and that stacks up to 3 times. Defeating targets with this ability also fully refills your class ability energy and restores a small amount of health. So as long as you're dodging near targets and meleeing targets, you can continue this chain, allowing Combination Blow to hit ×3, so now you have a really high damage melee. For our movement, I'm just going triple jump, but you can use what you like. Then obviously for the grenade, we're going with the skip grenade. For our aspects, first up, I'm going with Lethal Current. After dodging your next melee attack has an increased lunge range, jolts to the target and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with a melee attack also blinds them, pretty much just improving our melee. And then for our second one, I'm going with Flow State. Defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly and you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. Essentially, once we're amplified, we do get a series of bonuses. Next up for our fragments, first up, I'm going with Spark Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. It is a +10 to strength. Again, more damage resistance is always a good thing in PvE activities. Next up, Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you're amplified creates an orb of power. Pretty much, it's a free orb of power for you and your teammates. And as long as you're just wiping out ads, which is honestly what this build is going to be used for, we're going to be creating a lot of orbs of power. Next up, Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. It is a -10 to discipline, and just recall that our melee is going to jolt as well. We also get jolt from Shock and Awe, and now our grenade is going to jolt, which jolt actually stuns overload champions. So we do have the option for that, but being able to hit a target with that skip grenade and also jolt to other nearby targets as well is good for ad clear. Now for our last fragment, I personally like Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an Ionic Trace. Ionic Traces pretty much give you ability energy when you pick them up, so now it's guaranteed we're going to have our grenade back even faster. But if you did want to use something like Spark of Feedback, taking melee damage briefly increases your outgoing melee damage. It's not necessary for this build, but it does give you a +10 to resilience. So if for some reason you don't have 100 resilience, you just kind of need that bonus, you don't really care about the Ionic Traces, you could opt for this mod. Next, let's dive into the armor mods that I'm using. So on the helmet, first up, I'm rocking double Ashes to Assets, gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. Then I'm also rocking Arc Siphon, so when I get those rapid weapon final blows with arc weapons, it's going to create an orb of power. Now, if you did want to replace one of the Ashes to Assets with something like Hands-On, Dynamo, or even any of the ammo finders, you totally can. I just like double Ashes to the Assets because, Arc Siphon only costs 1 this time around, so we do have the room for 2 of those. On our gauntlets here, first up, I am rocking Firepower. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power, so with all the skip grenades we got rolling, we're definitely going to be creating a good amount of orbs with that. Next up, Grenade Kickstart. When your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. Unfortunately, if you ever have 2 of something in the stats, it's almost impossible for you to have like no energy for that particular skill, so we're not going to really take advantage of that. But the second part is what we are going to take advantage of. Additionally, your armor charge is consumed and you gain additional grenade energy for each stack, which I will talk about here later. Essentially, if you collect an orb of power, it gives you an armor charge. Minimum, you can have up to 3 armor charges, but we'll talk about how you can have more. Now, for the last mod, I would personally recommend Impact Induction. We can't have it on right now because of something with Solstice. Somebody broke something in the game, per usual. But when it comes back, definitely put on Impact Induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. Now, on the chest piece, I personally like Arc Reserves. It's going to increase the ammo that we have for our special and heavy weapons that are arc weapons. I also have melee damage resistance, reduces the incoming damage from combatants that are at point blank range. This is kind of a close quarters-ish build, but again, you can rock any resistance mod that you want, but I would highly recommend Charged Up. Increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. Like I said, minimum we can have 3, but with 1 Charged Up, now we can have 4 total armor charges. On our boots, I am rocking Innervation. Reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. If you are having trouble surviving, you could put on Recuperation, which gives you health each time you pick up an orb of power, which is totally fine. Next up, Stacks on Stacks. This one's important. Picking up an orb of power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge. So normally 1 orb of power equals 1 armor charge, but now with this, 1 orb of power equals 2 armor charges, which means if we want 4 armor charges, we only need to pick up 2 orbs of power. So with all the orbs we're going to be creating, that means with Grenade Kickstart, we're going to be able to utilize this mod a lot, which is going to be really good. And then lastly, Arc Weapon Surge. Your arc weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. Essentially, with any of these blue mods, it actually puts a timer on your armor charges of 10 seconds. The good thing with this, since we're going to have the grenade very often and we're going to be creating a lot of orbs, we are going to have the uptime with the Arc Weapon Surge fairly often. But by the time we use our grenade ability, it is going to take away all those armor charges, but there's going to be plenty of orbs around to where you're almost always going to have this bonus weapon damage regardless of what's going on. And then last on the class item, I like Bomber. Reduces grenade cooldown when you're using your class ability. Next up, Reaper. After using your class ability, your next weapon final blow spawns an orb of power. And then lastly, Powerful Attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. So again, this does coincide with, the combination blow. It basically just helps us out. If we need health back, we can use combination blow to get health back, have a very powerful damage melee, and we might as well be collecting the orbs around us so we can get our skip grenades back even faster. Now for stats to focus on, there really is only 2 main stats. First up, we talk about this every video, Resilience. Try to have tier 10 Resilience, 100 Resilience. It's going to give you a 30% damage reduction, which we all know and love. Secondly, Discipline. Discipline is actually tied to your grenade stat, so the higher your discipline stat, the faster you can get that skip grenade back. And then honestly, you don't need to focus on mobility because again, with combination blow, we're pretty much always going to have our melee and our dodge back almost all the time. So mobility and strength are out. So that just leaves recovery. Not extremely needed since we get health back with combination blow. That leaves intellect. Intellect is tied to the super, so you could focus on intellect. Now for weapon options, there really isn't any set weapons that you need to use, but like I said, we do want to take advantage of arc weapons, with Arc Reserves and Arc Weapon Surge plus Arc Siphon. So I would recommend arc weapons. Just some perks to look out for would be Volt Shot. Reloading this weapon after defeating a target overcharges this weapon for a short time, causing it to jolt on its next hit. Nation Beast comes with it. I have this Dragonfly roll. Absolutely disgusting. The Ikellos SMG, which if you have it crafted, can get an enhanced version of that. If you do have the Centrifuge from this season, this thing is fantastic. Sprinting, sliding, and firing this weapon builds up a temporary electrostatic charge, increasing range and reload speed. Final blows at a high charge cause explosions, and maximum charge explosions blind targets. Also comes with Corkscrew Rifling, Pen and Mag, and also Hand-Laid Stock. And then Regenerative Motion, sprinting gradually reloads the weapon. And then if you didn't know for the Catalyst, while you're amplified, it actually does the overcharge portion as well. So you could pretty much be causing massive explosions and blinding targets constantly. Then I do also like Delicate Tune personally. Fires a wide horizontal spread when shot from the hit. Final blows of this weapon have a chance to generate ionic traces. Powerful foes and opposing guardians always generate ionic traces. Also comes with Fluted Barrel, Liquid Coils, and then Short Action Stock. Then Tempest Cascade. Collecting an ionic trace overcharges this weapon's next shot, jolting targets on hit. And then as Catalyst, collecting an ionic trace partially reloads the magazine from reserves. I would really only recommend Delicate Tomb if you are going to be using Spark of Ions. If you're not, do not use Delicate Tomb. You're not going to get all the bonuses out of this weapon that you should. Now, if you got through all that and you're still a little confused about how this build works, let me break it down for you because it's honestly pretty simple. The main thing we want to do is be able to create a bunch of orbs of power, collect them for armor charges, and then basically spam our skip grenade. So there's going to be a couple ways to create orbs of power, right? We do have Arc Siphon, getting those rapid weapon final blows. Firepower, getting a kill with the skip grenade is also going to help us out as well. We also have Reaper, so after we dodge and get a weapon kill, that's going to proc an orb of power. And once we're amplified, from, defeating a jolted target, whether that's from our grenades, or combination blow melee with lethal current. Basically, if we jolt any target and get a kill, it's going to make us amplified, which then is going to proc Spark to Amplitude, which, as long as we're amplified and basically just chaining kills, it's creating free orbs of power anyway, so we're going to have plenty of orbs of power on the field to collect. Now, once we pick those up, whether we run over them or if we dodge and powerful attraction kicks in, collecting any of the orbs around us, we're basically going to get armor charges. We only need 2 orbs of power to gain max armor charges, which is 4 because of charged up and stacks on stacks. And then what's going to happen? Well, as long as we have any armor charge, arc weapon surge is going to be proccing, which means we are going to have bonus arc weapon damage before we decide to toss our grenade. Once we toss our grenade kickstart is going to kick in, giving us a big chunk of our grenade energy back. On top of with the skip grenade, as long as it's hitting targets, it's giving us even more energy back for the skip grenade, allowing us to use it pretty much almost constantly. With Ashes the assets on the helmet, every time we get grenade kills, we get even more super energy. With Innervation, when we pick up orbs of power, that's giving us our grenade back even faster. Then also with Bomber on the class item, every time we dodge, we get, grenade energy back. So there are a couple ways we can get our grenade back as well. Now with Bomber, like I mentioned, and Impact Induction on the gauntlets, if we do need to rely on the Gambler's Dodge and Combination Blow combo, that is also going to give us our grenade energy back regardless of what we're doing. Plus, by the end of it, we are going to have a very powerful damage melee, like I mentioned, and everything else with the subclass honestly just goes into that, spark resistance. We're going to have increased damage resistance while we're surrounded. Anytime we defeat a jolted target, whether it's with our melee or grenade, Spark of Ions is kicking and giving us Ionic Trace, which is free ability energy. And again, our skip grenades with Spark of Shock are also going to jolt targets as well. So that's a free jolt proc plus even more ad control. Essentially, as long as you're getting kills one way or another and creating orbs of power, you're going to be able to spam your skip grenade and jolt a bunch of targets. Personally, I really like this build for ad control, and it's very, very easy to stun Overload champions with this build as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my Shinobu's Vow Arc Hunter build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm actually going to put the dim link in the description, so if you want to copy everything that I'm using, down to the subclass, the armor mods, everything like that, if you want to copy it, please go for it, test it out for yourself, and let me know what you think. If there's something that you like better, something that you found a little more beneficial, a combination that you liked, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm 100% willing to hear you out. Anyway, guys, if you like what you saw, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another build video here on the channel. If you didn't know, we do live streams on YouTube and Kick periodically, so if you want to tune into those, please go for it. If you want to be updated when I'm going live and basically any other news or content that I'm dropping, be sure to follow me on Twitter at ItsDaveTV. And also be sure to join my Discord. Yes, we are talking about Destiny 2. People do want to run Destiny 2 activities together, but we do talk about a variety of other games, PC tech, anime, and more. Lastly, if you want to support the channel even more, you can also become a member. If you don't know what a membership is essentially like a Twitch subscription. Again, it's just another way to support me here on the channel so I can continue making this content for you guys. Again, that's going to give you access to the monthly badges, the emotes, and a variety of other stuff here on the channel. So if you would like some more details, all you have to do is press the join button, next subscribe, and that'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.